Hello there, welcome back to Jennie Designs with Paper. Thank you for stopping by my channel today. I have a true Shop Your Stash card, so get comfy and let's get crafty. I am making a wedding card. This stamp is 100 years old. It's Stampin' Up. It's been in my craft area forever. I'm using the Simon Says Stamp leaf wreath stencil set. I don't know, I can't remember the name of it. I'm using craft cardstock, and I have a card base. I also have a piece that is cut down to 4 by 5 1/4 for the stenciling to occur on, and then I'll use the other piece to stamp my greeting on. So I've pulled out my no grip mat and put a sticky mat on top of that. The sticky mat will hold my paper and my stencil in place, and the no grip mat will prevent my stuff from sliding all over my work surface. So I'm going to be doing some ink blending, and I have used this stencil or a similar stencil not too long ago, and I'm going to kind of copy what I made last time. So I've pulled out my Concord and 9th inks. I am starting here on the right, and I'm kind of sort of going in rainbow order. I say kind of sort of because I'm doing the berries in orange, which are super teeny tiny, and then the next leaf I'm going to do in yellow, and then I do some more berries in orange, and then I do a leaf in green, and then it's a whole thing. It's a whole thing. I way overthought the color combination of this stenciling. I way overthought it. And sometimes I get in my head like that. Sometimes I just get in my head like that. I tried to pick out ink colors that would still look vibrant on the craft cardstock. I did need to kind of clean off my stencil a little bit to continue because the post-it notes that I'm using to mask down each leaf were kind of in the way. And here's where I kind of, I went from green to red to yellow, or to orange to yellow, and then the berries are the same color. I don't know. I got in my head, but it's okay because it turned out beautifully. And now I'm going to line up the stencil. It did take me a minute to figure out that I had started with my first stencil upside down and backwards. And in order to get the stems in correctly, I also had to put it upside down and backwards. But because the stencils have engraving that tells you the company and which stencil, stencil 1 of 2, it was easy for me to figure out. When I finished stenciling the leaves in, I decided I needed to stencil up the edge. It looked a little too pristine. So I am making this card for an autumn wedding, and I wanted it to have that autumn. Also, the wedding is in a barn. A beautiful, gorgeous restored old barn. Love the barn, love the people who own the barn, but I needed the card front to look a little more rustic. So I am going to stamp the Mr. and Mrs. stamp rather, on another piece of this craft cardstock. I'm going to heat emboss it, so I am preparing that cardstock surface with my anti-static powder tool. I'm going to ink this up with Versamark ink, and I get one shot at this. I'm not using my Misty because this is a wood block mounted stamp. So I am inking this stamp above and beyond. Like, I know it probably has way more ink on it than will ever soak into my paper or stamp onto my paper. But also, I am going to hold that stamp on that paper and try so hard not to shift or move it, applying even, consistent pressure along the whole thing. Like, I even full on, fist held that thing down because I wanted to make sure that I got a really good impression the first time out, and yay, I did. I'm going to heat emboss this with some rose gold embossing powder. I think this one is Simon Says Stamp. I'm leaving the embossing powder on top of the ink to set in for a minute there, or like forever and a day, because I don't know why I felt like it needed to sit there that long. Then I'm going to go ahead and tap that off slowly to make sure everything gets covered. And there is a little bit of embossing powder just underneath the stamp. Probably I rocked the stamp a little bit, but it brushes off really nicely with a dry brush. And this is a dry brush I keep in my drawer for just that purpose. I left the heating of this embossing powder in real time to show you the magic of heat embossing, and hopefully it picks up on camera. Sometimes because of the lighting in my room, to make sure you can see what I'm doing, it kind of blows things out, but it really only took that long, and it is so shiny and so pretty. Now I am going to fussy cut this out. I am not going to make you watch the whole thing. One trick for fussy cutting: hold your paper straight and hold your scissors straight. Ew, I almost lied to you. Hold your scissors straight and turn the paper. And put your scissors in your dominant hand. There we go, 2 tricks. I decided to ink blend up the edges of this sentiment piece as well. I'm using the same brown that I used for the stems on the leaves. I felt like, again, it was just a little bit too rustic for a fall or an autumn card. I don't know. Crisp and clean, I guess, could work for autumn. I don't know why I felt like I had to rustic this up. Maybe because the wedding was in the barn. I don't know. My plan is to just place the sentiment right on the card front, but I felt like it needed a little bit of something. So I decided to pull out my foam tape. So I'm just going to take a piece of 3M foam tape and add some foam tape to the back of my sentiment piece. And once I get that all on there, I can peel the backing paper off and adhere the sentiment to the front of my card. Now, you would think that removing the backing paper would not be the hardest part of this. Apparently it was, because I got to those tiny pieces on the top and the bottom of that ampersand, and that paper would not come off. It was being a little extra. To be fair, so am I, so I guess it's a good match. Always feeling a little extra these days. All right, so I'm going to grab my reverse clamp tweezers. These are a workhorse in my craft room. I love them. I probably use them on just about every project. And I'm going to lay that down as straight as I can visually get it to be. This is a visual thing. I am then going to adhere the card panel to the front of my card. And I like the juxtaposition between the clean card base and the rustic card front. I like that. I feel like it gives it a frame or a place for your eyes to tell your brain to look here. I don't know. I could be thinking it wrong and overthinking it again, but I liked how it looked, and that's just kind of what I thought when I saw it. It's like, yeah, I like how that looks. It says, hey, look at me right here. And that is an insight to how my brain sounds when I'm talking to myself. Something you probably never wanted to know. Okay, we've got our card front down on our card base, and we are going to insert a piece of copy paper so I can stamp a sentiment on the inside of my card. I have purchased the Honeybee Stamps Inside and Out stamp set for wedding sentiments. So I will be pulling out that stamp set and choosing a sentiment from this set. Also, I did not pull my Misty out. I was feeling like, girl, you're on fire, just keep going. So I went old school. I pulled out an acrylic block. I added my stamp to my block, and I'm going to stamp this in Versaclear Nocturne Black ink because if anything is going to give me, oh, and then I changed my mind. I forgot I changed my mind. I was going to use the Versaclear Nocturne Black ink because it's beautiful out the door every time. And I decided that black was too strong because everything else is this rustic brown autumn color palette. So I went with that same brown ink from Concord and Ninth. I don't know why I still felt like this was going to be awesome and that I was still a rock star, but it worked. All of the letters showed up. There was a little bit more ink on the top row of words than on the next 2 rows of words, but it's all good, y'all. And look at this beautiful card. I love how it turned out, and the wedding was amazing and so much fun to go see, to go watch. Thanks for hanging out with me today. I have a couple of other videos here that you might like. I've also added a subscribe button. If you have not yet subscribed to my channel, I would love it if you did. Leave me a comment down below. Tell me how you shop your stash. Have a really great day.